Taking responsibility for sex. That's our topic. If you have yet to subscribe, please hit that button. And if you have a question, put it in the box. So many couples, and I've been working with couples for over 40 years who've been married anywhere from months to 60 years plus. And what's really fascinating to me is how very little a couple will have a pragmatic conversation about sex. I mean, I'll never forget one of the first couples I counseled way back, almost 40 years ago. And they came in because they weren't having sex. I'm like, okay. I asked him, how often would you like to have sex? He says, 2 or 3 times a week. I asked her, how often would you like to have sex? 2 or 3 times a week. I go, so you both want to have sex 2 or 3 times a week, but you're having it every 3 months. Why is that? What evolved was a fascinating and somewhat funny story. He said, well, I thought she was supposed to do all the initiation. And she said, well, I thought the man was supposed to initiate. And hence, nobody was initiating. And once we've identified that, and we were able to give responsibility, which we're going to talk about in just a minute, they were able to have an incredible sex life, and I never saw them again. Because the problem was solved, because it was made aware, and there was a solution. So if you're one of those couples where you never sat down and said, how often do we want to have sex? What do you want? What do I want? What can we negotiate toward? Okay, that's the first step in taking sexual responsibility. Now, secondly, you have to acknowledge that you're both completely sexual beings. Now, as a marriage or a relationship, you have to decide, is one person responsible for all of the initiation of sex because of whatever reason you make up? Maybe it's religious reasons. Maybe it's just your culture in your head reasons. But every couple gets to make this up themselves. Or is it both people initiating back and forth? Now, if it's only one person, I can tell you some of the side effects of that. Number one, the person feels all the responsibility. And so they have this kind of like burden that sex is their responsibility. It's not a shared responsibility. That they're sexual and their spouse is less sexual, because if they were sexual, they'd be initiating towards them. They don't ever feel wanted because they're never initiated toward. Even if the wife or husband never says no to them, they're never initiated toward. So they never get to feel the feelings of, I want you. And what can happen is toleration can move in, resentment can move in, because you're married to a sexual child. And if you want to know more about the sexual child, adult or adolescent, you can get one of 2 books, The Intimacy, 100-Day Guide to Lasting Relationships. We cover the sexual child, adolescent, and adult. And also an Upgrade Your Sex Life, which would be a great book to have many healthy, constructive conversations. What's in our sexual garden? What's not? How do we negotiate that? And also here, where we're talking about sexual responsibility, there's a whole section on that. So once you negotiate that, okay, are we both responsible? If you are, then figure out how you rotate that back and forth. A lot of couples do it by the week. He gets week 1, she gets week 2, 3, and it goes back and forth. And they're responsible to initiate the amount of times that the relationship has dictated that sex is going to happen. Now, can it be more flexible than that? Yeah, you make up all the rules. And in Upgrade Your Sex Life, I teach you how to do that and negotiate that clearly, so that not only are you having great sex, you understand your sexual language that you have and that they have, how to initiate with that language, how to incorporate that into the initiation process and the lovemaking process, and even the after sex process. And so you become a highly skilled lover of your spouse or partner. So it's really, really important that whatever you're thinking, you need to make sure that your spouse is thinking the same thing. Otherwise, you can end up with a lot of hurt, misunderstanding, and resentment. And if you don't know how to ask for sex, there's a whole chapter in that. If you're doing I snuggle up to my spouse and I kind of give them my little mojo feeling, and if they don't respond, they're saying no to me, I get hurt, frustrated. Maybe I sleep in the other room, and nobody has said a word. So having these clarifying sexual adult conversations, especially about who is going to be responsible to initiate, my personal opinion, working with couples for 40 years, is shared responsibility is the best. Both people feel wanted. Both people feel desired. Both people feel like each person is shouldering some of this part of the relationship, just like finances and parenting and social life, etc. When it's a shared responsibility, it feels more adult. It feels more connected. It feels more respected. And it feels like this is something we both want. And sex should be fun. It should be something that you both look forward to. And when you have an understanding on who's responsible, how often initiation's happening, both her anxiety goes down, because not every time that he's touching her in the kitchen does she feel obligated to have sex, because it's maybe her turn or her week. And the same for him. He knows how often sex is going to happen, so he's not constantly begging for a crumb. He knows it's going to happen X amount a week. There's so much more on this topic. If you haven't had these conversations, I strongly recommend you either download or read the book or watch the DVD, Upgrade Your Sex Life. You will learn more about each other sexually in that time with that information than you can imagine. And you can have incredible sex. And I want you to have incredible sex. Mind-blowing, satiating. I'm getting my needs met in my heart, my soul, and my body all at the same time with the person I'm really committed to and love and want to love all the days of my life. So I hope this has been encouraging to you. Now, if you're in a struggling situation and if you need help, call Heart to Heart Counseling Center, 719-278-3708. We help couples in all stages of their marital development. And if you haven't subscribed, do that. If you got a question, put it in the box. And until next time, make great choices for yourself.